When my parents separated, we ended up having to move from Maryland to DC. It was hard adjusting to the new lifestyle, and it caused me a lot of stress and confusion. We moved from a 4-bedroom home with a backyard
It's 1 o'clock.
to a 2-bedroom condo with a patch of grass and a grouchy lady living under us. This was one of the moments when I realized things were going to take a drastic change. At night, I heard gunshots and loud people talking from my bedroom window, along with the ambulance and police sirens. It was hard to sleep at night with all the commotion going on outside, but that was the least of my worries. I was more focused on whether or not I would continue to have the same opportunities I used to have. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This scripture helped me with my reassurance that everything was going to be fine. Despite the feeling like my plans of participating in sports like track and cheerleading and spending time with my friends outside of school weren't going to happen anymore. The big problem that was affecting my plans was visitations, mom's weekend versus dad weekends. And it's hard to get anything done when your parents aren't working together, and especially when you let your feelings toward each other make the decisions for you. The problem my dad had was that some of my cheer practices were on Sundays, which is understandable because he'd rather me be at church. And since this was back in 2019, we were just starting to get to know our step-siblings, so Saturdays were for bonding time. I was often an introvert, so it wasn't per se hard for me to interact with people, but let's just say I was still adjusting. Then the Saturdays on my mom's weekends, she always had me signed up for some type of class or workshop. She always say it's for my resume, which really meant if the programs in DC offered and child support money wasn't enough to get me where I needed to be, then these classes would support me with my future opportunities. I was around 11 at the time, so I wasn't thinking about college, jobs, or the future. I just wanted to have fun and spend time with my friends on Saturday. Maybe if my parents worked together instead of practically ignoring each other, the dreams my siblings and I had would have worked out. As I grew older, around the age of 13, I was tired of not being able to do the small things I wanted to do, the things that every kid should be able to do. This is when emancipation came into mind. By the time I become 18, I don't want to still be affected by my parents' problems and be cut short. I didn't want to depend on people and then sit back and watch and do nothing. My plan was to do really well in middle school, get my credits, be able to skip certain classes in high school, have a half-day schedule for my senior year, and graduate early. I was so fed up that things were cut from my childhood unreasonably that I just didn't want to have a childhood anymore. I wanted to move on to the next stage of life where I'm able to do things for myself. But then I came across the scripture, Exodus 14:14. "The Lord will fight for you, you need to only be still." This reminded me that I needed to trust in the Lord and make the best of my situation, not rush it. The weekly topics at Ebenezer in Sunday school were always right on time for me. Being grateful, sacrifice for others, honor your mother and father, and most specifically, better is coming. All have helped me get through and given me hope for my future. I can testify that God keeps his promises. I'm currently doing well in school. I was selected into my first choice high school. I was chosen as the captain of my cheer team at my middle school and participate in the Delta Academy for character building. I'll be traveling to Puerto Rico in March, and I've opened my first savings account ever and happily paid my offerings at church. It took me a while to get here, but now I know I want to continue living my life and following the path God has set for me. I want to live because I matter, we matter together.
Good.
Yay!
Excellent, Vontae.
Sister Coleman.